We start on the shuttle. Subtext, 6 months later.
So it's 6 months later, and I'm curious what she's been doing for 6 months, but somehow Michael got on this shuttlecraft.
Not mining dilithium.
That's right. But she's with a bunch of hard-nosed people. I don't know. What were they, miners?
They're criminals?
Criminals.
Of some kind. The one
but
guy,
they weren't Starfleet.
The one guy killed some Andorians, and we never find out what the other ones did. Maybe he has some kind of beef with them.
Yeah, I don't know why. Their little antennae are really cute and emotive. So. But cold in all the wrong places, one of them said.
So they said. I'm not going to get too deep into what that means.
But now we get like a fun scene, and this is weird because Michael's being all quiet. Obviously, she's taken to heart that she needs to be repentant or something like that.
Or at least not make waves.
Yeah, she's not picking any fights right now. But the shuttlecraft gets these
space bugs.
The shuttle got space bugs, and these space bugs are going to eat all the energy, which combines a lot of my favorite old Star Trek episodes of things that eat the energy of the spaceships. So that was great. They did like a mini episode.
It's true. This episode was very Star Trek, I have to say. You know, they go on an away mission to a haunted ship. And I'm getting ahead of ourselves.
There were a lot of classic episode references here. We'll try to name them all.
I do feel like they tried hard to go Star Trek with this one. So it was like a mini, like, oh, the ship's in danger from things that are going to eat our energy.
You know, I always heard that people do not like that episode of Next Generation where the space slug is eating the Enterprise's energy. No, the baby space slug. Yeah.
I like that one.
It's a great episode.
They adopt a space baby.
That's the one where Geordi has his holodeck girlfriend, and that's terrible.
Oh, well, that was awkward. Yeah. But it has the thing where they're like, well, it's just feeding off the ship, and is it Picard says keep it off the furniture?
Oh, God, did he? That's hilarious. So. That's so Picard.
I thought that was that episode. So we have space bugs. And the pilot is like, I'm going to go outside and take care of this. Which, if you've ever watched sci-fi before, you'll know that when the pilot sees some problem outside and goes to take care of it, they're probably not coming back.
That feels more like a horror trope. Like, this is Star Trek. I was waiting for her to go out there and fix it and be like, well, I just did a good job.
I mean, half of this episode was a horror trope.
This was kind of my fear that Discovery would be a little bit too much horror.
Yeah.
But maybe this was just the horror episode. We'll see. I hope every episode's not dramatic lighting for the captain, as he said.
Let's not forget the haunting of Deck 12.
Classic Voyager episode where Neelix tells us a story about a space entity. Wow, this is similar.
if this that ate energy or something, wasn't it? Or no, it was energy.
Yeah, it's energy. Energy was involved.
Yeah. See, if this had been an episode of Voyager, it would have been Doug Jones, Voyager. Tall alien guy.
Tall alien guy. He's not very happy in this episode. He got promoted to commander. We see.
Yep. He's the first officer now.
We'll get to him because there's some good scenes coming up. But first, she picks a fight in the cantina. So we're on a new ship, so we get to learn a new bridge crew, and we get to learn the new 10 forward, which so far is a bloody brawly place.
That's, that was a nice little thing with the security officer being like, oh, should I? And she's like, nope, don't get involved. Let the inmates fight it out.
We met the chief security officer of the Discovery, and she's a very familiar actress, and so far I like her a lot. She's quiet, stoic, but still has a sense of humor. Allowed that fight to go on.
I like her too. She has kind of a weary beat cop thing to her.
She does. Yeah. She just holds that over. Yeah. She's been in Detroit for too long.
Exactly.
She's seen it all at this point. But
seen every crime that can be committed on a starship.
I like the bar fight because it reminds you that Michael was a commander for 7 years on a big ship. She knows how to defend herself. She can handle 3 punks off of a shuttle.
Well, and also they're kind of setting her up as a bit of an action hero.
You think so? Michael's an action hero?
I mean, based on this episode.
She did the superhero landing.
And also the first 2 episodes.
We got to get to that superhero landing. That was pretty
That was pretty cool, yeah. So,
she picks a fight, and she gets to see the captain.
She does, which may or may not be related. Maybe that was part of the test.
Oh, yes, because the captain's been testing her. Well,
he has plans.
So we'll get this. Actually, she confronts him right away, doesn't she? She says, you diverted my shuttlecraft halfway through the voyage.
She's smart.
I'm supposed to be someplace else. I know how orders work. And, you just saved us. Like, she's smart. She knows what's going on.
We start to get a little bit of, and this is all about character development for Michael. We're starting to get a little bit of Detective Michael.
Oh, okay.
Like, she's got some Sherlock.
Is that a part of her character, do you think, or her Vulcan upbringing, where they're just questioning everything?
Well, both, right? I mean, Vulcans are good at working through problems and working with evidence and stuff, so
yeah,
that makes sense. But yeah, she's not like uppity, but she's not intimidated by him.
No, in fact, she's a bit cross. She keeps saying, I don't want to make waves, but she's not being the most happy-go-lucky person either.
She's like, excuse me, I have a prison to go to.
She's kind of emo, a little bit goth at this point.
Like,
but
maybe
understandably.
has accepted her sentence a little too much.
Actually, we should talk about one thing that kind of bothered me. She's getting completely blamed for all the deaths and starting the war.
That's true.
And she didn't start the war. I guess this might be a thing where we as viewers are privileged to see her perspective, but she did mutiny. That much is true. But she didn't start this war. She's not the reason 8,186 died.
She did some questionable things, during the opening of the war, but didn't necessarily cause it.
Yeah. I mean, the Klingons definitely fired first.
Yeah.
She wanted to fire first. What did she call it? An unprovoked, unsolicited, or something.
A Vulcan hello?
Yeah, it was a Vulcan hello. Good title so far. The title of this episode, by the way, in case you haven't noticed, is King's Context.
Context is for kings.
Context is for kings.
Universal rules are for
idiots, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember the line. Sorry. So this new captain of our new fancy ship, the Discovery, kind of fancies himself a king, I guess.
Fancies himself a mover and a shaker. But yeah kind of that.
And what did he say? An era of mystery? His eyes are damaged, I guess, from a Klingon battle.
I like that it's kind of hard to get a read on him so far.
He's not completely dour. I thought he was going to be super sad-faced, grumpy guy. He smiles. He likes fortune cookies, a weird affectation. So you don't forget who the captain is.
There's a nice line in there, like, oh, my family used to make food, but that wasn't really a problem until, you started that war.
Oh, yeah, so...
Because the Klingons are burning our crops now.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, tough time to be a Starfleet person, I guess. It's a little sad, again, that he's blaming her for the war. You would think he'd have a little better perspective there.
Yeah.
They did not fire first. Whatever.
But we also kind of established that he's telling her what he thinks will get her to join his cause.
So she says...
But this is way later, of course.
Yeah, well...
that whole conversation later.
Right now, she's sticking to the line of, look, I just want to keep my head down and not do anything. And he's like, look, you're on my ship and you're going to do what I tell you. I think she wants to continue on, but she wants time to figure things out.
I mean, I guess that's a reasonable point. She's still a little traumatized.
Yeah. But the captain says, whatever, I got the science project going on, and I hear you're mad smarts. So
I hear you're good at math, and we need somebody to go down and, I don't know, refactor our source code.
And he read the report. He knows that she's a stellar commander, aside from the whole mutiny thing. Okay, so she goes down and meets the engineers?
Goes to her quarters.
Oh, yes, this is the best scene here.
She gets assigned to some quarters, where she goes and I guess emos out on a bed for a little bit, and then meets her roommate.
It's tough, man. She went through a lot getting on that ship. She had to fight people, man. Got some bruises. She meets the coolest addition so far. The most likable character, I guess, so far.
The most relatable?
Yeah. The bubbly roommate, Tilly S. Sylvia.
Who is a little different, really, from anyone else we've met in this universe so far.
Star Trek at all, you mean?
The show.
I mean, Neelix, I guess, is the closest I could come up with.
No, there were lots of those. On Discovery.
Okay, yeah.
She's the first person we've met who seems anywhere close to the description of bubbly.
Everyone on the Discovery, we should know, the Discovery is not a happy ship. A, it's wartime. B, they're doing something very suspicious that they're not at all interested in telling Michael about, which means we don't get to know either.
That's true. On the way up to the bridge, we see someone with a black badge.
A black badge with quite a good-looking uniform.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Black Ops guys. They get all the cool stuff.
Section 31?
Probably related.
I'm assuming that's what they are. We'll see. Tilly's great because she's bubbly. She speaks her mind. She talks too much.
She's a cadet.
She's a cadet.
She is our Wesley Crusher, if you will.
She wasn't allowed to have a roommate because she has a lot of allergies.
What did she say?
The polyesters, the cotton.
No, she said she has like a disability or something, or special needs. She said she has special needs is why she doesn't have a roommate. Apparently her special needs is she needs a roommate who's deaf because she snores.
Oh, I thought the joke was like actually she talks too much, so people just keep telling her things. They don't quite hit it off because it turns out that everyone in Starfleet hates Michael. Yeah. That's what we learned too. Mm-hmm. News has spread. We don't know how the internet works there, but the news says to them how it spread.
And that's fair. Maybe it's a commentary on perception versus reality.
I'm trying to put myself in that position. I'm on a warship, and then an excommunicated officer comes back, and we're bunkmates. I guess I'd be polite to him. I wouldn't really want to talk to him at all, and so I guess I'm on Tilly's side. But
I'd be curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tilly's curious.
My best character, I would be curious, but in reality, I'd be like, oh my god. And that's what happens in the next scene. They're supposed to work together. Turns out Tilly works in the same science lab that Michael got assigned to.
They're roommates and they work in the same department, which is a little awkward in any situation.
The little science lab, so it's like a little high school scene where like she's trying to find a place to work and she sits next to Tilly and Tilly's like, you get out of here now. I don't work with
we have assigned
Vulcan nerve pinchers.
So the lab is interesting. They have the little work area, and then there's like some secret areas where they're doing secret stuff. We meet
lots of glowy things.
I think we weren't clear on this. Either chief engineer or chief scientist.
Do we know his name yet?
I don't remember.
At some point we will learn his name. He seems like an interesting character, if nothing else. He played Hard Nose. I run this lab. What are you doing here? Who sent you here? Oh yeah, the captain sent you here. I forgot.
So we met the possibly chief engineer. But he's running science experiments. He's not doing standard chief engineer stuff.
Yeah, he's not like getting 98% warp efficiency like Geordi spent his time doing and playing on the holodeck. Right. Instead, he's doing crazy science.
I thought at some point they said that she was going to engineering. But it occurs to me it did seem kind of like just a random lab.
I think this is just normal Star Trek where they do all the fun stuff in engineering. They're like, keep it down there, boys. We don't want your explosions up here.
If you're going to experiment with a warp core, use the main one.
Don't do it in a shuttlecraft far away from the ship. No, that would be too safe.
So there's some mysterious stuff going on in this lab. There's mysterious particles that we see.
Mysterious particles and some mysterious source code.
Which, again, I'm going to say that's a little Sherlocky. She notices him brushing particles off of his shoulder. Come on. And she's like, those are red clay that's only found in a certain part of the riverbank.
Wow, okay. So you like Detective Michael.
I like Detective Verdum.
We actually skipped a scene. When she was falling asleep in her quarters, they went to Black Alert.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
And I said, wow, what's Black Alert? And that's such a cheap trick for the writers to do, but they got me.
Black lights come on.
Oh, like black lights, yeah.
Get it?
The good kind of black lights.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the walls turn to liquid.
The walls didn't turn, did they condensate or did they turn to liquid?
I wasn't 100% clear on what was going on there.
There was floaty liquid at one point, and then it turned into proper liquid with gravity. And it turns out we learned later that was actually a jump. But I forgot how far they went. It wasn't very far.
Not very far. Unimpressive distance.
Yes, they are not happy. They need smart people.
So that's pretty trippy.
Yeah. So Michael starts playing with source code, and I love this scene because they put source code up. You never see source code on Star Trek. It's always the LCARS interface. So I'm a total UI nerd. So I
was gonna have to pause that later and
clip it out, make some kind of YouTube video of it, maybe.
Did that look like a recognizable language?
It did. It had elements. The structure was there. I think it actually had curly braces, which puts it in the C programming family, the most common we have today. It'd be kind of scary if a 1970s technology makes it into the 22nd century.
I could believe that C will last another couple hundred years.
22nd century, 23rd century. Should really read some Wikipedia articles at some point.
23rd century, I think.
Okay, let's stick with that for now. She confronts a blonde engineering dude and says, look, you're doing like biology and physics and mathematics and what's going on? And he's all like, above your pay grade, get out of here.
Right. And then she's like, well, and also you made a typo.
Yeah, she found a bug in his code.
Yep.
She doesn't know what it does, but she's like, I know that's wrong. I'm a freaking commander here. I love that Starfleet training includes programming. That is cool. Or at least Vulcan. Assume Starfleet.
Yeah. We always had to kind of assume that they were doing something. They just never really showed because they talked about programming holodeck stuff.
That's true. And it was usually just the Alexa interface to it, but
right. Their idea of programming is you just tell the computer some stuff.
Yeah. It's fun to see some source code.
That was cool.
But lo and behold, we actually learned that blonde engineering dude, which we really need a name for.
Yeah.
He has a friend on another ship, and they're co-workers, and they bicker, but one guy's concerned that the other's jumping too far ahead in his research, going too fast.
Yep.
Slow it down, buddy.
Doing too far? It was like they're doing kilometers or something?
Did they even talk about distance at that point? It was pretty vague, the conversation.
I thought mass came up at one point.
Okay. Yeah, at this point, we don't know what the science experiment is. We'll soon learn that it's all about this jumping.
He's conducting an experiment.
Yeah.
Engineer guy is worried about it.
He's worried, yeah. And then I think the next scene is like the ship, they get an alert that ship is...
Above top secret alert.
Above top secret alert, yeah. He didn't have to enter a code. We didn't hear Picard access code 12345.
Well, they use breath prints.
That's true. They have breath prints on this ship, which
are not terribly secure, as it turns out.
Yeah, I think it's actually the next... Or maybe we even skipped over that scene. They're not terribly secure because Michael wants to see what's actually in the lab here.
She does.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if this happens before or after we hear about the other ship.
Yeah.
But basically she goes to her sleeping, snoring, drooling roommate and collects some of her drool.
Which was totally gross. Who drools that much? But I'll give it to him. Tilly is a little funny.
Also, Barnum showing some more skills here. Mission Impossible.
More detective. Okay. Are you trying to make her like a Batman or just Sherlock?
At this point, I'm actually starting to think it's a little more James Bondian.
Oh,
because she solves the mystery, but also
he's also the action star. You said.
Is that not a James Bond thing to steal someone's saliva and then use a little air burst to blow it into the breath print analyzer?
Yeah, that sounds complicated enough to be James Bond, and that's exactly what she did.
So she does that. She gets a little can of air from somewhere, I guess. And
it looked like a med pack.
Yeah.
At first, I thought she was going to get a tricorder and analyze her breath to find out the little bugs in her breath or something.
I was worried she was just going to put it in her mouth and breathe it into the thing, which would be pretty hardcore.
Okay.
But a little weird.
Boy, I'm glad they didn't go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then she discovers a glittery, glowing forest, which is super weird.
They're growing something in there. It looks kind of cool. It looks kind of almost like it's underwater. It's kind of waving.
I was wrong at this point, but I really thought it was a holodeck, and I thought we were going to get to see the birth of the holodeck, and they were doing that experiment.
I don't think you're going to beat the Klingons with that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Actually, Enterprise set the history for the holodeck, in fact. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but now we can fast forward. Something bad has happened to the sister ship.
To the Glenn.
Yeah. Oh, the Glenn. Okay. It's a funny name.
John Glenn.
Oh, excellent.
I assume.
Okay, you got it. Smarter than me. And the captain decides we need to get over there and figure out what happened.
And this kicks off some very classic Star Trek.
Yeah.
There's something happened to our sister ship, which we notice is a kind of a trope of Star Trek. Next Generation did it.
Yes, many times actually.
With the Yamato.
The Yamato. Which one was the Yamato now?
I thought it was the other Galaxy class that got blown up at some point.
Oh, there's a few of them.
That's
in the first season, there was one that was just falling apart, and they're like, oh, something's wrong with these Galaxy class ships.
Right.
But it turns out... Actually, I forget how it turned out, but it wasn't a design flaw, it turns out.
Alien parasites or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And then Deep Space Nine, they did Empok Nor episodes.
That was the classic one there, where you see the upside down or crooked version of the station.
They just tilt it. They tilt it a little bit. They do Dutch angles.
And in this one you can't tell if it's is that evil or is that good? It's hard to say. But this is cool because we get to see, as you said, they get to reuse the set, but from a viewer's perspective, we get to still explore the set. We're on a different ship, but we still get to know the ship.
We haven't spent much time on Discovery.
Yeah,
to begin
we're still
with,
learning this puppy.
So they put together a team.
Yeah,
which
the away team,
right?
Our first away team,
and you're like, oh man, I wonder if they're gonna take Michael with them because she's probably not supposed to go, being a prisoner and all.
But she's our point of view character, and I really want to see what happens on the ship.
Yeah, she kind of has to. Lieutenant Commander Saru, whose name I just remembered.
Yes, Saru.
Gives her a recommendation.
Yeah.
He says he's afraid of her, which for his species isn't really a terrible insult because they're kind of afraid of everything.
Yeah, they had a good good scene. I don't know. I felt uncomfortable the entire scene earlier when they met up in the hallway at the Discovery.
Yeah.
And she apologized, basically, for... trying to take over the ship.
Yeah, and he pulls the line, what was it? I believe you're dangerous, and I will protect my captain better than you did yours.
Yeah, that was a slap to the face. Yeah, this guy is not pulling any punches.
Ouch. He's
very clear how he feels about the whole situation.
Report to the medical bay for burn treatment.
Oh, wow.
I think they had a few too many conversations, and they were a little bit too long.
Between Michael and alien guy.
Yeah, I feel like they were trying really hard to repair that relationship, like in this episode, and they spent a lot of time apologizing to each other.
You think they're gonna be best friends in the next episode, or are we gonna keep this up for a while?
I hope not. That would be a little too easy.
You want some drama?
It would feel unearned, you know? Like, I feel like they're setting it up where there really is some bad blood there, or at least, he wants to trust her again, but he is literally afraid of her.
I'm thinking back to Voyager and Tom Paris and Chakotay. They were set up as kind of enemies. Chakotay hated Tom Paris, but that lasted all of like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see.
Well, there's a relationship I never thought about.
Oh.
They didn't have a lot of scenes together.
No, but they started them out as kind of enemies, and they were taunting each other.
Yeah.
But that just went away.
And that's, in classic Star Trek, I feel like there's a lot of, you try to set up these relationships that will kind of develop as the series goes, and I feel like in Voyager, a lot of them just didn't happen the way they planned. Like the characters that kind of paired up and became friends or enemies or whatever, it didn't really go along with the original plan.
Yeah, now that I think about it, you take Next Generation, everyone starts out pretty well integrated. They're still getting to know each other, but no drama between them.
Yeah.
There's the Riker-Troy thing, but they kept it professional mostly.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's just like drama everywhere. Every character has some drama associated with them.
Yeah.
Blonde engineering guy just lost his best friend on the other ship in a horrific way. We should talk about that.
I guess we are up to the away mission. So
they take a little shuttle over to the ship, and they see these bodies on the ship that are just like distorted.
It was very X-Files manner of death.
Yes. Okay. Well, they were little balls of people, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, is that it was kind of dual horrors of the people. Like, some of them were clearly affected by the experiment, the science experiment. Like, they were all like turned inside out and stuff.
Yeah.
But then also there was the critter running around eating Klingons.
Well, we saw Klingons too, though.
Yeah.
Not the only bodies. Yeah. And
which was we were talking about, this is so many classic horror tropes in this one. You get the scare of like, oh, there's somebody in the shadows, and then they come out, and then something eats them.
Yes, but this was kind of a hilarious scene, I think.
It was. Because
a Klingon steps out, a living Klingon. Actually, it was Tui that called him out. Yeah. She's all like, you in the shadows, come out. Yep. Tui's on this mission, even though she's just a cadet, but whatever.
That is kind of a weird one. I feel like there were several
She's like a Wesley Crusher.
She just goes along on everything.
She's smart. She's in the science lab.
We send her on all the away missions.
So this Klingon pops out, and we're all ready for this like showdown, and he shushes them.
Yep.
It's like, quiet. There's this crazy beast murdering everyone on the ship. Shut up. And 1 second later, he gets eaten by a murderous beast on the ship.
Yep.
Too bad, Mr. Klingon. We hardly knew you.
And we don't know what happened on the ship. As usual, all logs are corrupted, because logs get corrupted very easily. They salvaged some stuff out of the science lab, including a completely unexplained a navigational hack.
They just started like cutting everything out of this one room. I was amazed. Like, they're like, we need that, we need that, we need that too.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the monster's pounding on the door. It was you said, they were keeping the thrill factor high in this horror thriller show.
So
watching.
I feel like what this is implying, to speculate a little bit, is kind of a Doom storyline, right?
They opened a portal to hell in that case,
or whatever, the nether space. and something climbed through it and started.
Those were my thoughts too. Yeah. I feel like they're working on transportation, but that inevitably means other things can transport to you. A door once opened can be entered both ways.
Oh, what's that from?
Oh, too many things. But Doctor Who was the specific one I was referencing there.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it looks like, maybe they went through hyperspace or some interstitial space. It warp killed everyone on the ship. The creature ended up there, and then it came back to regular space.
So what you're saying is they're just ripping off the Voyager episode where the other ship in the Delta Quadrant found these aliens that they could use for transportation and had to torture them.
Wow.
And then the aliens came back and tortured the humans.
No, I remember that. I hadn't even thought about that parallel. So I assumed they went to some kind of hyperspace. It killed everybody. The Beast came back with them. The Klingons boarded the ship. The Beast killed the Klingons. But I'm hoping it's more complicated than that.
I'm laughing because it's all solved pretty quickly. They take as much as they can off the ship, get the heck off the ship, which is good. So they didn't do a whole episode of horror.
Yeah.
But then we learn quite quickly the captain's just like, well, that's that, and blows up the ship. So no second away team, nothing like that. No further investigation of the Klingons. It's just, that was scary, let's blow it up.
Wasn't that kind of a valuable ship?
Yeah. I mean, these ships look nice.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that. A, I'm on record of hating the design of the Discovery. B, oh my god, it's growing on me, and I hate that. They're totally brainwashing me. So when I saw them blow up a Discovery, I was like, well, that's sad. And it means they totally misled us with the previews last week.
Oh, was there a shot of it blowing up?
There was a shot of the Discovery blowing up.
Classic.
Or not the Discovery, Glenn.
I think they do that in the preview of every episode where they blow up a ship that looks like the hero ship.
That is cheap, CBS. Don't play these games. My heart can't take it.
But yeah, let's talk about the design a little bit. We actually get to see the Discovery for the first time.
Yeah.
It makes the same entrance as the last ship, coming down out of the ether from above.
Let's start with the good. It's got a saucer and 2 nacelles. So they didn't give us some weird,
That's true.
I didn't want some crazy configuration. It's standard Enterprise configuration. Where it diverges is, let's see, the disc is actually a disc with kind of a bubble-ish kind of thing in the middle. It's 2 separate pieces. How are they joined? Have you seen the junction points?
It has spokes.
Yeah, some spokes.
Does it have the ball and then a ring and then another ring? Is that the design?
Oh, are there 3 rings?
Are there 2 gaps or 1? I don't remember.
There might be 2 gaps now that you say it, but one's a smaller gap.
I did notice in the initial flyby, we get to fly up through the gap.
Oh, did we?
It does.
I didn't
highlights
even notice.
that. Yep.
Oh no.
Yep. It highlights that, and then pulls back to give a nice 3/4 shot.
Fantastic.
Glamour shot of it.
Okay, so I'm
not 100% sold on the design yet either, but it is also kind of growing on me.
The part I don't like most is the large triangle, the big delta in the back.
Yes.
It evokes actually a Klingon vessel. That's what Klingons look like.
It does. It also reminds me of wings in general, which I always liked that Star Trek ships don't really look like they would work in gravity.
We have infinite energy. We don't need wings.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so that delta at the same time starts to look good after a while. Hate to admit it.
Yep. But we get to see the inside for the first time too.
The corridors remind me of Next Generation. There are 2 angles. It's all metal now. We don't get the lush carpeting of the Enterprise D.
Yes, or the many primary colors of the original Enterprise.
No colors. They're just afraid of colors. No homage, right? The doors could have been dark red, but no, they're just dark silver blue, like everything else.
With a lit up pattern on them.
Is there?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Pay more attention to these sets. The sets are good.
You know what I liked? I like that the Shenzhou. I like that it looked cool. I liked how it looked. It looked modern. The Discovery manages to use the same design language and make it look just a little more modern than that. They mention it being a new ship. It looks like a new ship compared.
No scuffs on the floor, as noted by
That's true.
Mr. Expanse.
So it is very nice, but it also has a lot of hard lines, hard edges. It looks utility.
It is, and parts that would be glowy bubbles in the next generation have like grid work through them. Mm-hmm. They're trying to really make it look like there's a lot of detail on this ship, and it obfuscates. It's almost like we're seeing an HD ship for the first time. The rest were just decent approximations of what this ship looks like.
That's true. I look forward to seeing the transporter room.
Have we seen? Yeah, we've seen transporters. There's actually there was a good transporter joke in this one. I loved it. The captain did a site-to-site transport. I believe that's actually in the next scene that we should talk about. So Michael is very upset at this point. Okay, I'm going to rewind one more time and say we got a lecture from Engineering Guy about what they're up to finally. And it was the most nonsensical garbage I've ever heard on a sci-fi show, and it made me so angry. Deep down, physics and biology are the same thing. Okay, whatever.
Isn't that what they say, is biology is just applied physics?
Yes, biology is applied physics. Physics is not applied biology. That is not the direction things go. So I was a little annoyed by that technobabble, whatever they call it, but this was not good. Tell me more about pattern buffers and warp nacelles. I don't want to hear about biology and physics fundamentals.
But point being, we have a
mad scientist.
We have a brand of technobabble, a brand of sci-fi technology that I think is going to kind of define Discovery. It's the plot.
It is. We're going to have to deal with this biology physics conundrum for a while.
And maybe they'll make it make sense. Maybe they won't.
Yeah. So Michael comes back and she's like, I am done with this. The shuttle's ready to leave the Discovery. It's been all repaired. I'm out of here. And Mr. Stone-Faced Captain says, why don't you like to join my crew instead?
Standard recruitment speech.
What was his sell? His sell was, we're doing something really important here. What do you want to do with your life? Just be sad all the time, or do you want to help us win this war that you started?
I thought that was his final line.
I don't know. It was the one that sold it for me.
Yeah, definitely.
You owe us something.
I feel like he was saving something. He was saving that.
Yeah.
He was saving that one for you did kind of start the war, so...
Maybe you should take one for the team here and help me with my mad science experiments. And this is when, finally, he does the transporter gag. He says, I need a site-to-site transport from my office down into the super-secret engineering lab.
Right.
And I love that because we do not get enough site-to-site transporter usage in Star Trek.
No, we don't.
I'm sorry. If you have transporters, you're going to use them.
And probably because that's an effect, and effects cost money. And
nowadays they're it's cheap, though. That's the easiest effect on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Actors, leave the scene now.
Yep. Throw some stuff at it, and it's done.
I think they actually used glitter in the old days, like the original Star Trek.
In a bowl, and they'd swirl it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So they transport down to the science bay.
Yeah.
And he explains what it's really about, which is transportation.
Yeah, again, he did the horror thing, though. He's like, please get in this glass chamber for a moment. Trust me, I'm the captain. Even though there's still dramatic lighting all around. I was scared for a minute, but she trusted him. I guess she's used to trusting Starfleet people.
I was a little worried that maybe they were going to do some kind of like, oh, now you've got spores in you and you die if you leave the ship or something.
Oh, that would have been bad.
That's pretty tacky, but
I mean, I thought it was just going to be like some LSD trip or something she was about to go on.
Well, and that's an excellent question. She did go on a little LSD trip.
She went on a trip. Let's say that.
Did she actually... She didn't actually go places, though, right?
I think she did. I think this is like your consciousness, because it's biology, can move along the physics nerves of the universe.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think it actually was a transportation system at that point.
Well, just like until this point, like we'd seen it used to move the entire ship as like a system, like a ship system. But the like get in the booth and see other planets thing, I don't know what's going on there.
I took it as, look at the potential of this when you have a small mass and a lot of these particles.
Yeah.
Our trick now is scaling this up to a ship.
Sure, that makes sense.
That's at least how I'm reading it.
I just felt like that little sequence, it wasn't totally clear if he was showing her like, you can use this to view other locations, or if she was actually taking a tour of all these places.
I think she went. I think that was the implication, but
that's entirely possible.
It is open to interpretation. We'll see which one it actually pans out to be.
Maybe it works like Chakotay's Vision Quest.
So he offers her a fortune cookie.
Like you do.
What would your fortune be? She doesn't open it, but...
That's true. I wonder if that'll be a plot point at some point, what her fortune was.
The next episode will open, and it'll say, your lucky number is 6.
Yes.
But she takes the job.
She does, because he said you started the war and should finish it.
My God, we can't handle another ship, so I'm glad we're finally settling onto one ship.
Yes.
So it's the Discovery. It's got a creepy captain.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a cool security chief, commander.
It has a first officer who has a bit of history with
kind
Michael.
Of a jerk. He was a joke, and now he's a jerk. Ba-dum-pum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And last, Commander Tall Pants. Blonde engineering dude who's upset about his friend.
Mm-hmm.
What other drama do we have? Michael. She's just full of drama.
Blonde engineering dude. Something we went by very briefly is he gives an info dump at one point, which will Discovery ever get tired of exposition and info dumps? Probably not.
Season 4.
But they're on the shuttle going over to the away mission, and she's like, hey, so I figured out some stuff about it. What are we dealing with? And he finally goes, okay, fine, I'll tell you everything.
Yes.
And explains that he was a scientist, a civilian scientist, who was working on this spore porter.
Yeah, sure.
And
spores. He likes spores.
Right. And got basically conscripted into Starfleet with his partner to work on it as a military project.
Yeah, and he made the joke that they split us up so that we could work twice as fast or something. It's like, how does that work? And I guess one of the reasons I keep getting confused about his position is because he is always in engineering, but at the same time he was conscripted. So why would he be chief engineer or anything like that?
But also they had their I guess spore trip chamber, and then they had the spore garden, but there wasn't like a warp core in there. So I'm thinking this is not...
We haven't actually gotten the warp core glamour shot yet, or have we?
I don't think we've seen main engineering.
They've been in a room with a red circular thing. I wonder if that's the warp core.
Red circular thing?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I'll have to go back to the video.
Yeah.
Oh, we get one more great scene with Tilly. And Tilly, she's not drama. She's just kind of nice.
Uh-huh.
She makes a nice little speech, though, and says... Many people don't know this, but I'm going to be captain someday. And I'm acting all weird just because I got a lot to learn, but watch out, you people.
Yes, she is, she has big plans.
Big plans.
They better not kill her.
Oh, no, they won't do it. But they're going to make her suffer. I think she's going to be O'Brien, and they're just going to put her through terrible, terrible things. Episode after episode, she's going to be the punching bag, but eventually she'll command the ship, and she'll do a good job.
As long as she's not Harry Kim.
She is just a cadet, though, so that means she's going away at some point.
Well, hopefully she won't be a cadet for 7 seasons.
Fair enough. Okay, so overall, good episode, bad episode, best episode ever.
I thought it was a great follow-up to what we've been introduced to so far.
Yeah, it was a big exposition. Was that good, bad? I don't know. You didn't answer the question. Answer the question.
Oh, I thought it was good.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a good also. It wasn't great. I didn't think about all the exposition until you just mentioned it, talking here. But overall, I thought it was mostly kind of a forgettable episode. It was almost like too many things happened, but it was just a lot of character introductions, technology introductions. Here's the ship, so it's good for all that.
That's true, and...
It was entertaining. It was definitely entertaining. I'll probably rewatch it a couple times.
You know, in 10 episodes, when we look back, it'll probably be like, that's the episode where not everybody was that fleshed out. They did a lot of exposition. Not much happened. You know. But for a week-to-week thing...
Yeah, it's working.
We're here for the exposition.
We're advancing the drama. We got some more drama. It's good.
Exactly. Couple of notes about art direction that I liked.
Okay.
I really like everybody's shoes.
Oh, I missed the shoes. I will have to pay attention.
One of my things about Star Trek has always been that everybody wears those stupid,
black boots. They're these, very simple black boot things.
Restaurant staff style black boots.
I hope people in the restaurants don't have to wear those.
Fair enough. They don't look very practical. They don't look super comfortable. They don't look very futuristic. I mean, how futuristic is leather boots?
Well, they don't show up that well on standard def. It's okay.
And they don't show up that often, period. I mean, how often do you see people's shoes on Star Trek, right?
So I actually heard you note this when we first got our shot of the commander. You're like, oh, he has interesting feet.
That's true, actually. Yeah, the commander has backwards leg.
Oh, he has backwards
He has
feet?
like dog leg style.
Oh, that's why they always show him from waist up.
Yeah, because they CGI'd it in one shot. They did prosthetics. They're these shoes that kind of mimic that in one shot that they didn't look quite as good. So they'll probably settle on one or the other.
A lot of time in the makeup chair for that guy.
But their shoes are these really kind of futuristic looking, almost like modern sneaker, like high-tech sneaker kind of, but
are
boots.
They?
Yeah.
What are they? Simple design? Are they complicated?
Medium complicated. They're like the uniform, medium complex.
So it's like a sneaker boot, like a Converse.
Not like Converse sneakers. Think
like Jordans. No.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Like modern, super high-tech basketball shoes, running shoes, that kind of thing.
Okay, I will have to pay more attention.
Yeah, with cool little Starfleet emblem buckles. So that was neat. And then they did a little thing where we got to see someone use a phaser in beam mode.
Oh, you got very excited in this scene.
I got very excited about that because I like phaser beams. The pew pew phasers are cool. They make for good action. They don't not Star Trek to me.
And they really beefed this one up. This felt like a proton pack, like fighting some ghosts here. It was like, boom. The sound effect was good. I think she even used two hands maybe for that.
Melting their way through a door. It was pretty cool.
And she said, well, even with this giant gun, it's still not cutting fast enough. Yep. So I wonder if they have, we still need to see the pistol style weapons.
I had some of those.
I'm sorry, I meant to say rifle.
Like phaser rifle. Yeah, there was a security guy standing by the back door of the shuttle. They showed a couple of shots of him. He was just standing there. I don't know. And he was holding a rifle. And I think they told him to stay with the ship.
And he didn't die?
He didn't die.
Fantastic.
I think the Klingon was the only one that...
Did we lose any red shirts? We should have a red shirt counter for this show.
Yeah, somebody in the back got eaten.
Oh, no.
Who was that?
That was pretty fast. Well, we did lose a Klingon. We know that, but it's not a red shirt.
At the time, I thought it was...
we did lose a red shirt?
At the time, I thought it was the security chief, because she was kind of... But then I guess she was the one that was burning through the door, right? So
yeah, security chief, she was fine.
Yeah. So, but no, somebody got eaten right before they got into the lab.
We forgot one last thing also. The creepy closing scene between the security chief and the captain, where there's a little shop of horrors of all his grotesque creatures that he keeps. So it turns out he likes animals.
I wonder if those are creatures that he brought back from the rift.
That's kind of my assumption.
Or the, what do they call it in Warhammer?
Xenobiologist?
Astromycologist?
I think he seems like the type that tortures them, though, so I'm a little worried. Where are his Starfleet ethics?
That's
we got
making
a Starfleet ethics speech in this, too. This episode was all over the place. A lot of Star Trek in this episode.
That's true. The name of the episode comes from a little speech he gives.
And was this her retort to him? Well, he gave his speech saying he can look past her mutiny because kings can understand context.
Universal rules are for plebes, basically, and context is for kings.
He can look beyond them.
Yes.
But her reply was, I'm Starfleet. I have a moral code. Mm-hmm. Just because I was court-martialed doesn't mean I don't believe in that moral code anymore. Right. I'm going to follow this.
Right.
And he's all like, how about you see a site-to-site transport?
And then shows her the spore.
Yeah, the transportation device. Yeah, there was a lot in this episode.
There is. I mean, we know that this transportation method is not going to work out.
No, this has Voyager written all over it.
I mean, anytime anyone has ever tried to go faster in Star Trek, it's resulted in lizards or explosions or
the lizards. I forgot about the lizards.
Getting lost in subspace for 100 years or something,
And I don't recall Geordi ever talking about the nerves of the universe, so I'm pretty sure this theory is not going to pan out too far.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a physicist, not an astromycologist. So
he didn't believe in the power of the spores.
I guess that tells you what jobs survived to that century.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's wrap this up. I enjoyed this episode. I'm glad you did too.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Good Star Trek.
Great. Until next week, we'll see some more